I do want to share with you our vision to how we see the future of the IT infrastructure. As of today, enterprises have different kind of hardware laid in different locations and very, very complex architectures, which is a combination of lots of vendors. As we see the evolution of the cloud rolling out, we are seeing very clear direction of tight integration and trying to leverage technologies that are across the stack, starting from IoT, connected devices, mobile services, through devices which are on premises, like Outpost and like Snowball, through the different components of the cloud, the edge and the core. And I think the key difference that we're going to see in the future following this kind of architecture and infrastructure approach will be that you can leverage a set of tools that starts from the very far end in the region all the way to the connected. The cost of ownership of this environment will reduce a lot, and this is how we see this thing growing. Now I'll ask you, Mario, how does the SAP landscape can benefit from either running in the core region or on premises, but still leveraging AWS?
Yeah, well, there are as many SAP infrastructures as customers we have in the world, but there are a lot of things that are coming into common when we look at how they operate, right? Before the cloud appeared, we could still see customers running SAP systems distributed around the globe. And that was because the latency, the network in the 2000s is not the network that we do have today. We didn't have this technology that we have available today, right? So we cannot expect our customers to operate the same way as they were operating, as we mentioned, when the SAP ACC system was released. But essentially, many of these customers still operate that SAP environment and on that technologies, right? Many of them are still running in physical servers. Many of them still run on VMware. And what they are trying to do is how to make these systems as innovative as they can using these technologies. So the reality is that when we look at how the cloud vendors, in our case AWS, generates the regions around the globe, what we see is that every region it's released, it follows the same pattern. First, probably public sector customers come in because of regulatory reasons that they need to keep some of the data in the country. And then the industry. But the industry is not more, it's not because they are less innovative, right? The industry, what they want to do is to have the best cost effective. And the way that we are looking today, our cloud services, we don't care where our cloud service is located. When I open my email, I don't care if my Google, Microsoft, or whatever email provider is that serving that information from. I don't care if it's in Spain, if it's in France, or in Germany. What I do care is that my emails is reachable, is secure. I only have access, and I have all the security in place, and my times to connect are the best as possible. So what we are trying to do is providing the infrastructure to do enterprise level grade infrastructures in the cloud. And a couple of years ago, the SAP ecosystem was a little bit more greenfield on that particular topic. But these days, I can almost say that any SAP customer is either looking into the cloud or deciding which cloud infrastructure they are going to put their SAP systems on.
I want to ask you a question. So let's say I'm a customer that and I have my SAP, but it has to be somewhere around my on-premises environment. I do want to leverage the cloud. Let's say my test environment, I can run anywhere because it's just for development, for testing, but my real production environment maybe has to run close to my mainframe, to my AS400 environment. So what is the way to do that other than buying servers? I mean, how can I leverage AWS for this purpose?
Essentially, it's important that we do have, in SAP system, we have two types of connections. We have system to system and user to system. System to system, as you mentioned, is that I need to connect my SAP system to whatever system my SAP is interfacing to. And that normally, if all my REST environments were located into a data center, I require a direct one-to-one line. In the AWS world, it's called direct connect, right? But the reality is not there today. The reality is that a lot of software as service products started to appear. A lot of customers are already using a Microsoft Power BI on one side, Google on other side. Then a lot of Salesforce, Workday, and the reality is that our systems always are connecting not only to the on-premise, but also to other cloud providers. So what we need to understand is that as CIOs, as enterprise architects, we need to provide a complete interconnectivity. And the way that AWS is designed, what we can do is also to leverage the own AWS infrastructure using edge locations, as the one that you have in the slide right now, where we can connect any system in Israel, for example, using the edge location located in Israel to connect to the AWS cloud using that edge location. The same way as, for example, you are in Israel and you are watching Netflix, and the Netflix is working seamlessly, and you don't care if that movie is being served from the United States. What you have is that the connection to the Israeli endpoint is working perfectly, and this is the way that we are architecting the SAP systems these days.
Yeah, so let me emphasize. So on this point, I think it's really, really important, especially to, I think, Israeli customers. So yes, AWS has this global accelerator capability, which is part of the edge location. So in the technical terms, eventually this is an IP address that is physically located in Israel. And if you ping it, you see a couple of milliseconds latency, which is then directly attached to the Amazon backbone. So if you do want to serve your SAP from the region, but the access to your SAP environment will be very, very local and very close to you onboarding to the AWS core network. And this is definitely guaranteeing a very high SLA, very good performance, and it is protecting the customers from being impacted by whatever international traffic going up or down or ISP changes. This is directly going on the AWS core network.